Again, a WVLT first alert weather day today. The main concern is that rainfall, is that potential for some localized flooding, meaning some spots of flooding, because all it takes is a few downpours to go over the exact same area, and that can add up to some localized flooding, some runoff issues, some creeks and streams running high today. So that is where we are sitting right here in the midst of that slight risk or some localized flooding. Now, we'll say there's a big improvement for Friday. We removed that second WVLT first alert weather day. That system now looks to miss us. It will help to basically kick out some scattered to spotty rain and storms tomorrow. So at least we have that to look forward to in your first alert forecast. But for today, we've got to use that caution, give yourself extra time, pack your lunch if you don't want to get back out on those messy roads. Starting the day around 72, spreading out to that 80% coverage in time for the morning commute, keeping that going through noon. Soggy throughout your midday to early afternoon. That leaves us kind of hanging out in those low 70s, at best some mid 70s here. Some extra winds at times, gusts even around 25 to an isolated 30-mile-per-hour gust. Can topple a tree a little easier just because the ground is more saturated, so it doesn't even have to be severe to then be a concern there. But I just wanted to give you a heads up. It is breezy at times in addition to this soggy, messy day, but that coverage does start to decrease in the afternoon to evening. So let's talk about that timing here in that first alert futurecast. Again, more of these batches dropping in, but notice by 6 to 7, we fill in a lot of those gaps. 7 to 8, most of our area catching moderate to heavy rain. We'll get some more of the rumbles of thunder that are up the line there, those few hundred lightning strikes that are moving across Kentucky, moving into our area, filling in again into the midday hour. Most of our area being rained on, messy roads, potential for those localized flooding. See these little dark red dots there? Those are the cells that could then be tipping that bucket into that potential for some localized flooding. So that's just kind of the way to look at it for today, as we could have a concern in one part of town but not another. 3:30 to 4 o'clock, notice the back edge starting to peel back from the plateau at least. Still some good downpours in parts of the valley to kick off the evening commute. Foothills, mountains, far northeast Tennessee too, but trying to peel that back here, decrease that coverage going into your evening hours from scattered to spotty. So there's a step in the right direction. That's a lot of rain during the day, drenching our area. So adding that up here in the rain forecast where you live, notice it is a little lighter right on the very southern edge of our area. Most of us are really catching that good 3/4 to an inch, some 1.5 inches, but then notice these isolated higher amounts. See these purples to reds. That's where it spikes up that 1.5 inches, 2 to even some 3+ inch rainfall. And we're seeing that in parts of the Central Valley, some of our busiest roads right here in parts of Blunt, Sevier, Knox, Loudoun, parts of Anderson County and Roane County as well. Getting that main line to come across the plateau, scoot across far northeast Tennessee to southeastern Kentucky. There's another couple of these heavier bands right here in parts of Campbell, Claiborne, Whitley, McCurry counties, Knox County, Kentucky, and then yes, look at that pool up right here in far northeast Tennessee. As I mentioned, we've already had a good 1/2 inch of rain in spots in northeast Tennessee just from the early morning batch of rain. So obviously there's a lot here moving through, but at least it does move down in coverage tomorrow. Basically that main system tomorrow misses us, giving us some spotty rain and lots of clouds in the morning. Here's where we could have some scattered rain scooting along the plateau to southern to central valley for your Friday afternoon. So still some scattered storms basically for the southern half of our area, spotty downpours and storms for the northern half. That means we could have a couple of good rumbles of thunder, a couple of stronger storms, but at least for the most part that coverage is dropping off, letting us kind of cancel that second WVLT first alert weather day. In terms of rainfall, though, where it rains, it pours. It's just the coverage is much more scattered south and spotty north. So that's where you see a couple of those streaks to a 1/2 inch to an inch in spots in the southern half of our area. So just wanted to give you a heads up there. At least there is an improvement and gives us a little more warming room. We stuffy at 70 degrees in the morning, 80 around 1 o'clock. High tomorrow 85, so still just below average, but it will feel warmer, keeping that steam around, that high humidity around for the weekend, but continuing to decrease that coverage. More of a stray pop-up possible on Saturday. Spotty rain and storms during the day on Sunday, but in the evening to overnight is when that coverage increases ahead of a cold front. That front will move through on Friday, giving us some scattered rain and storms, so at least that knocks that heat back a bit briefly a couple of days next week.